Alrighty, well this video, this update, this video, I don't know what the hell I'm going to call it, about my 100-gallon livestock tub is by request from a very sweet friend, Christine, at Sweet Acres Koi Farm. And I'll put a link to her YouTube channel if you're want to follow somebody about koi fish and ponds. Christine's the one. I'm going to go through the process of this thing and how it got here. And this is Ron's Garage Aquatics. Stick around. So I'm going to get you off the tripod for a bit, kind of show you up close what's going on, and we'll walk you through my process. I got to top it off today because you can see it's low. And my high water mark is usually just below, where's my finger, the overflows. And you can see how much it's gone down. It's down 4 or 5 inches, just evaporation. It's been a while since I've topped it off, probably a couple weeks. And it's been cool. Yesterday was warmer. Yesterday was 80. And don't forget, we're in Palm Desert, California, about a half an hour east of Palm Springs, California. So we're in the desert. It's the low desert. And it can get really hot here. And it can get chilly. You know, I mean, our nights were in the low to mid 40s last couple weeks. Rarely it'll get below freezing. And I'll talk to you about what I do here, what I've done here. This tub didn't used to be here. It actually used to be in the backyard. And then we had some work done in the backyard, so it had to come out here to the front yard. There's the street. And there's a bunch of plants kind of hiding it because we got an HOA. And so I don't want them to see the damn thing. Pain in the ass that they are. And they're not that bad. I mean, some HOAs are just freaking brutal, and others not so bad. So anyway, so far so good. I don't know what got me started on this thing. Somebody, it might have been oh God, what's his name? It's in the Midwest. Oh, Patty's Aquatics. He had some outdoor tubs, and he probably still does. And I think maybe he's the one. His videos are the ones that got me started on this thing. Anyway, I ended up at Tractor Supply. Found one. There's actually one out here. It's in Indio, and this is a 100-gallon livestock tub. And it was about, I think about 125. And I've had it for, I don't know, maybe coming up on a year now. So like I said, it started life in the backyard. And it was in pretty much full sun all day long. That was winter when I got it, or late winter, early spring. I'd actually have to go back and find the receipt. I ended up putting 2 tubs in here. And I might need to put this back on the tripod. I probably will, to be able to fish out these tubs so you can see what they look like. And I'll have to move some of the surface plants away, these floating plants, so you can actually, so I can get them out, so I can get these tubs out. I dropped these 2 plastic tubs. They're about a foot long and, I don't know, 6-8 inches wide, 6 inches deep. And I put potting soil in them. And I planted jungle val in one, that'd be the one on this side, and one about just off center, one with Amazon swords. And they were doing really well in through the warm season. You know, so I had to get this sooner than that. It's got to be a year and a half now, because they were doing really well into the warm season. And then it was winter out back. Well, it's winter everywhere. But anyway, as it cooled down, the jungle val did well, and the jungle val even bloomed. And these little corkscrew things here are, and there's the flower, jungle val cinerea flowers on the end of these little corkscrew, on the end of these little corkscrew flower spikes. Well, the Amazon sword didn't fare so well. I think one survived. There's probably 8 in there, and the water got too cold for them. I ended up having to move this tub out. Like I alluded to this probably already. This is stream of consciousness. I'm just rambling here because the backyard was in dire need of repair. We've got a pool back there. There were spots in the pool that were failing around the coping that were failing. The tile was failing. It was, oh God, I don't know. It was built in 97. And for posterity, just in case, that was 1997, you know. That plaster was, you know, it was nasty. It was stained. It was, I think the word is spalling, where it's separating. Anyway, it needed work. So we drained the pool, had the pool taken care of, ripped out the entire patio, and a whole lot of extra work got done back there. It looks great now, but this couldn't be there. So I brought it out here. Let me back up. I'll show you where it is. in comparison to the rest of the house. Let's get a hand over the camera. So there's the front door. So it's the front walk, and I showed you where the street is. It's right behind me. I should get my hand out of the way. So that's where it is. There's a brachychiton right there, that big tree. I get a lot of leaf litter from my tanks. There's the front door, and it's mostly blocked by these mock oranges and this bird of paradise. So once I brought it out here, put a couple more Amazon swords back in that tub down there, and I'll show you in a bit. And I also brought out another sword, another Echinodoros, I think, and it's called Melon. And that is the remnants of a flower that came up on a big, long, here it is, this big, long flower spike. And look at all the roots on this puppy. And it bloomed. It was gorgeous. And I was hoping I could collect some of the seeds out of the seed pods, but they're gone now. And there's another one here, further down that flower spike. It's full of roots. I can feel them. And then there's also one back here, also still attached. Kind of cool. And the whole plant, let's see if I can pull this one out without a whole lot of help. Get some of this out of the way. I dropped sticks in here. We'll talk about that in a minute and why. The water's really fairly clear. Let's see if I can get the pot out. It's an old Talenti ice cream cup. And the plant looks okay. And there's ram's horn snails on it because I dropped some of those in. But these are the two spikes that took off. When I got this tub, I got Medaka rice fish from Aquahuna up in Washington State. And I don't remember how many there were. There was one or two dead in DOAs because it's Aquahuna. They took care of it right away. And I like dealing with them. I just like dealing with them. Anyway, so they took care of that. And since then, I've got way more than I started with. I thought I bought the platinum rice fish, the Medaka rice fish. And I got a bunch of orange ones, and there's a couple right there. And there's still one platinum floating around in here. Anyway, I got way more than I started with. So I've got orange Medaka rice fish. Lots and lots. In fact, I don't know if you can see that little guy right there. They swim into this, it's a pond basket. This is an idea I got from Scotty. I see 3 of them right now. Anyway, Scotty at Raising Fishes. He's deep in the heart of Texas. And I put 2 pieces of pool noodle zip tied to either side of this thing and put a little aquarium gravel on the bottom of it. And fry seem to swim in, and I guess they swim out. I mean, occasionally I've netted out bigger fish that seem to have hopped in or managed to squeeze in. And I've also seen shrimp in here. Now, I've also put a lot of shrimp in here over the time. I started out with, oh God, I don't know which ones I put in. I think I might have put the yellow golden back first. But I've got 5 different shrimp, neocardinas. I've got, there's the platinum Medaka right there. A one-off. Maybe there's more. I don't know. I started with, I put what was I saying? I've got yellow golden back neocaridina, red cherries. Those were the first ones I ever got. Blue dream, orange sun-kissed, and green jade. So I think that's 5. Anyway, they get into the filters, into the sponge parts of a couple, well, into the backs, and the hang-on back filters I use periodically just to clean a tank up. When I got a lot of sediment or mulm, I'll drop a hang-on back on the side of the end of a tank, and little shrimp will get in there. And I'll try and net out all that I can and put them back in their tank. But sometimes there are just too many little ones. I mean, like fresh ash. So I'll just dump them all, dirty water and all, right into here. So I think I've got 5 different kinds of shrimp in here. Now, occasionally I will top this thing off. And one time when I did, it was midsummer, I think, when I did it. And I let it run for a while, let the water run for a while. And when I came out and looked, there were hundreds of shrimp all over the edges of the tank. It was really cool to see. So, and most of those look like cherry shrimp. So I don't know if the other shrimp are all doing well or not. We'll see one of these days. I might dive in, well, not physically, but, take this thing apart and see what's there. Plant-wise, other than the jungle val and the Echinodoros, And like I said, we'll dive in and see if the Echinodoris is still there. That melon seems to be. I put a bunch of hornwort in here and a bunch of guppy grass. Now, earlier this year, not long after I moved this tub out here, it became thick around the edges with this thick, soft, billowy green algae. And I'm trying to scrape it out by the handful. Finally, I just took two of the plecosauruses out of one of my tanks in the house or in the garage. It took them about a month, and this tank is spotless. They just cleaned it right up. So since then, for stuff for them to eat, I'll drop handfuls of green beans in here, zucchini. I put those sticks of wood in there just so they got something else to munch on. I need to put some bigger, heavier pieces. There are some bigger pieces of manzanita down in there. I think they're still in there. I took some out, had a big stump right there I got from my mother-in-law. So this is the point where my microphone died. And I only figured it out when I'd gotten through a whole bunch of this part. So anyway, let me show you something else. It's kind of a sidebar because I'm not using my microphone right now. Here are the microphones. I've got these Rhodes, I'm sure, that I borrowed from my wife. During this, I learned a couple very valuable lessons. One, make certain they are fully charged before you start anything, both of them. All right, the one on the right is the microphone. The one on the left is the receiver that plugs into the phone. Now, obviously, right now it's not plugged into the phone because I'm using this and showing you this stuff. I also learned that the microphone dies a lot quicker because it's a standalone battery in that thing. The receiver here is sharing battery with the phone, so it lasts a hell of a lot longer. So keep that in mind. And then the last thing is make sure you turn the damn things on. All righty, the microphone's on, the receiver's on, we're connected up, and hopefully you can hear me. I should check. Success. So anyway, let's see, I left off. I was talking about something over here at this end. I was showing you guys this chunk of manzanita down there that I got from my mother-in-law. And I pulled a chunk out of there because one thing manzanita does, it dumps a lot of tannins in the water. Not a big deal. Didn't do much for the pH. Nothing seems to do that here. Anyway, regardless. I was talking about the plants, and let's pick back up. Hopefully there's not too much of the Department of Repetitive Redundancy department. So I showed you the melon sword, or red melon sword. I guess it's Echinodoris melon. So anyway, I also brought a lot of this dwarf water lettuce out of I've got a tub in the garage, and stuff's huge in there. It's going nuts. And out here, it's growing, and it seems like it's flatter in the garage. It's more doing that. And I keep thinning out a lot of the smaller bits in the garage, and I got to thin out some of the bigger bits too because it's completely taken over one of those 41 quart tubs. They're shallow. They're about 6 inches deep is all. And I've got a betta, just a male betta in there, and some shrimp. I had some other guppies or something in there once upon a time. Anyway, it's just the betta, just going all over the place, aren't I? And then somewhere, once upon a time, probably in a land far away, I had heard that hornwort's a great absorber of nitrates. So I stuck some hornwort in here, and it has gone completely ape doo-doo all over. And I had guppy grass in here, also looking really good. Now, last winter, the guppy grass went to poo because the cold water. But now I got that heater in here, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I think I already mentioned it, but regardless, we'll spend a little more time with it. This has been struggling forever. Little bitty spider plant in a piece of pool noodle. I'll put it in there. Once in a while, I think I showed you the fry. Oh, there's fry right now. But there's glare also. It's really hard to see those little buggers. But I did see one, and I'll see them in here, so they come and go. In fact, there's a couple. And they're like, geez, one's like an eyelash. The other's just like 2 eyelashes. They are small. And those are the little Medaka rice fish. And then I've also got a couple different kinds of spawning mops in here. I've got these scrubby mops. Right? These, yeah, I'm just looking. Oh, there's a little red cherry shrimp on that one. I think they get more use out of these than the fish do. I've had these in there forever. I think before all the plants took off, I might have seen an egg or two on them. But since then, none. So I think what happens, and then I've got a yarn mop here too. And I think what happens is the Medacas, I think in a lot of cases, the Medacas will lay their eggs on these scrubby mops. In fact, I saw, God, what was it? I can't remember. A guy in Texas, I feel like it's Mark Pyle, showing the system he built outside where he had the scrubby mops in a row of tubs, and the fish would spawn on them. He'd take them and put them in tubs with nothing going on, just water. The eggs would hatch and drop off, and he'd put the scrubbies back in. He probably had others, so he's constantly rotating. They don't do that here. I think there's just so many plants in here, they just spawn on the plants. And I am seeing lots of little fry on the surface right now. Let's see if I can zoom in. Where? There they are. Right there. About the center of the screen. Anyway, that's the whole story of the mops. Let's talk about the heater real quick. Now, I mentioned the two big plecosauruses I have in here that help clean up all that green, soft, billowy algae. I don't know what kind. I was a little concerned for their well-being coming into winter because the water was getting colder and colder in here. And yeah, it's the desert, and it gets chilly, though. And the temperatures drop at night. And I figured enough of that, and the temperatures would go down enough that it's going to be a problem for those plecos. Medaka ricefish don't care. The cherry shrimp or the neocaradinas don't care. So I reached out to Scotty, Raising Fishes. Well, I asked him what he has. He's got a similar tub in somewhere deep in the heart of Texas. Clap, 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 clap. He said he's got a Higer 800 watt, and he didn't say what kind. I didn't ask. So anyway, I just did some hunting on Amazon, and I ended up with this Higer 500 watt. Now, he gets a hell of a lot colder than we do here, so I figured the 500 watts probably sufficient here. So I built this little, it's a piece of 3/4 inch PVC with a T on top. It's just slip bit. I set that heater to 68 degrees. Let's get under there. So there it is. It's 68 set. And then I cut the top end off of one of these 1 gallon distilled water jugs just to cover it. Stuck a zip tie in there. That's the black thing right through there to keep it up. And ideally, it keeps it up out of the way from, any rainfall. We actually got a bunch of rain this in December, and then also the sprinklers. So that works really well. So that's the heater. And then, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. It's plugged into the garage. So that's the cord there that goes all the way around into the garage. And I keep tripping over it when I go in there. So I can't wait to get to the point where I don't need the heater for the season anymore. I will unplug it and let it cool or let it acclimate to just the water temperature, and then I will do something. What will I do? I will take it out, put it away for the season, for the summer season, until it starts cooling off again. And just for what's and giggles, I heard somebody say this today. It was Paul Stingray. Just for shits and giggles. I didn't know anybody else ever said that. This is all that's left is a fork with snails. I dropped a piece of zucchini in here for the two big plecosauruses. I don't know if they got any of it or not. The ramshorn sure as hell did. Let me show you those tubs I was talking about, those little storage tubs. All right, so this is a week later. Today's the 21st. I started this on the 14th, and during that, I realized the microphone died. So anyway, I'll get up to kind of speed. The water level has dropped back down, topped it off, and I think when I got back to where the microphone was running, I was showing you the back of this, and we'll get back to that point where the water's running out of those overflows that I built right there. And I think I'll talk about that. I don't think I have yet. I don't remember, but I'll talk about that briefly anyway. But let me pull those plants out and show you what we got going. I'm going to do this one first because the other day when I pulled out this Echinodoris and I pulled out that tub that was down here, I ended up setting that tub on top of the flower spike, so the thing is pinned down in there, so I gotta try and rescue it. Yeah, and it's even knocked it over. So I'll pull it back out and show you that also. And when I pulled these out the other day, they were full of mud on top. We get a lot of dust. So this is all this is. These are little storage tubs. I've got potting soil in here, or pond soil. I don't remember which. It's been so long. And then I planted a whole bunch of Echinodoris I don't know. I guess I was thinking it was last winter I got this tub originally, but I think it was last summer, It would have been summer 24, late summer maybe. There's a little shrimp. That winter, 24, 25, all but I think one of the echinodorus died off. And since then, I planted some more, just a couple. And I don't remember how many. I should probably keep notes. So I don't know if more of the ones I planted earlier this past summer season had died off, just didn't make it, or if this is all I planted. I don't remember. It's been too long. And the two brain cells, they don't always talk most of the time. Oh, there's yellow shrimp. Let's get this back out of here. And I showed you this. Let me set that in there and untangle this. This is that Echinodorus melon. And these were flower spikes. They came up and bloomed, and they're gorgeous little white flowers. Trying to get this all entangled. There it is. Isn't that great? So more plants. In fact, there's a couple here I can end up dividing. And there's probably a couple on this one. And this is the smaller spike. This was the first one when I just brought it out of the garage. This Talenti ice cream cup. And if you're asking, it was a coffee chocolate chip. And you can see, I don't know if you can see how root bound that is at the bottom now. Probably could go in a bigger pot. And then back in. I think I will do that. I've got a big terracotta pot I can put it in. And do the same thing. Potting soil, mix of potting soil. That's typically what I do. And pond soil. Plant it, cover it with sand to keep the potting soil in place. And also, I guess it reduces the chance of any kind of nitrates or anything organic material coming out of the potting soil. So anyway, that's this pot. I was saying, when I pulled it out last time, there was a lot of mud on top. We get a lot of dust here, so it settles in, and it creates a layer of silt on top. Just settles in. And so I can feel there's a load of silt on the bottom of this thing too. Oh, and while I'm at it, let's see if there's anything going on in here. I made this for the two plecos. I don't think they've ever seen it, used it. I don't think they care. I'm pretty sure they're still in here. And the reason I say that is because I saw one upside down. They'll come up and feed off the surface periodically, upside down. It's always fun to watch. All right, so let's put this back in over here, and that goes on the bottom. And then try and straighten these out so they'll reorient themselves. Get that out of the way. Got this for, I don't know, $7, $8. Just, it helps circulate the water when the sun's shining right on it. And I only get a few hours of sunshine right here. I showed you where it is, where this tub's oriented. Front door is that way. So on this side is part of the house, and on this side is the garage. And so the sun has to come over this roof on, what would that be, my left, go over, and then the garage blocks it the rest of the day. So that works. Keeps it from really overheating. This tub is the one with the jungle valve. And let's see if we can get this one out of here one-handed. Now, when I build these kind of things, there we go. When I build these kind of things, after I get it all planted, I pour water into it until it's thoroughly saturated. And usually what I do also, the potting soil and the pond soil, I saturate when I put it in here. And that helps reduce any air bubbles that are going to blast back out. So you can see how well the valve's doing. I think I started with maybe 8 plants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. And I've got little valves all over the place. Does well. And I showed you, I think, the corkscrews here. These are the flower spikes, and the flowers on the ends of the spikes. Pretty plant. I love jungle val. And I've got some corkscrew val. I should put some of that out here, see if it'll do better. I've got so little, I hate the chance, losing it. But anyway, so let me drop this back in. So these things are what, maybe 8 inches by 12. Yeah, I guess about 12 inches by maybe about 4 inches deep. Target storage containers. They work really well. And when I find this, and I get a lot of this nasty green hair algae. I do not like it. I don't want to crush any shrimpies or anything if I can help it, and I'm not sure if the thick plant layer up here between and this all settles back out, it'll sort itself back out, but the thick plant layer between hornwort and the guppy grass helps to moderate the temperature a little bit. Not sure. And right now looks like it's about 72. And that's probably about what the air temperature is right now. I'd have to look. So on the phone there, pull up the temperature app that I have. But there. So that's it on the plants. Now it's time. I'm going to top this back off, and I'll show you what I do there and how I go about it. So I just showed you the little floaty thermometer. I said it was about 72 on the top, and I dropped this down in. Hopefully it went all the way to the bottom. And it's been sitting in the water for a few minutes, trying to acclimate. So it's 69 down at the bottom. So there's a little bit of a temperature gradient, a little cooler at the bottom than it is at the top. And it's probably got something to do with air temperature. And I'll see what the air temperature is, and we'll put that on the screen. And you can see that bird bath fountain's trying to spit. You know, it's kind of overcast day, and it's getting about as much sun as it's going to get today. But if it hits full sun, then there will be, is it 5 streams? 6 streams? I don't know. It looks like one might be plugged. You take the little thing off, clean it out once in a while. When I had that green billowy algae I was talking about, it would get impacted underneath in the intake on there's a little submersible pump underneath it. That's powered by the little solar things going around the top. It's cool. It's fun. I got another one I found at the thrift store, brand spanking new. I should put that up on my eBay page. Anyway, who cares? Now I built these little PVC things to fill my tanks, and it's all glued together except for this elbow, because I can turn it whichever way suits me for depending on the tank. But then, and this is what I was using to refill this, or just to fill it and do a water change. And then it occurred to me I should probably get the water down to the bottom. So what I did was add a longer piece of PVC with a slip-on coupling there. And I just put that on like so, and then put this elbow on like so. So it points across the bottom of the tub. I'm hoping you can all see that. Yeah. And then I don't have the water on very high. In fact, I'm going to go turn that down. But I set that down there, and I'll let it run for a while. All right, so I turned it down. I'm going to get you off the tripod here. Here we are. So about like that. Don't want it to fill up really fast, but anyway, I guess I feel like that turns the water over. Usually I let the hose run a bit before I stick it in a tank. And I think mostly during the summer months, just because what the water's in the hose that's in the hose is just blasting hot. So I'll let it get back down into the pipes and cool off a bit. During the summer months, water coming out of the faucet in the kitchen sink is, God, I don't know, it's pushing 80, something like that. It gets stupid hot here. So anyway, those 3 are the overflows back there. All right, I don't remember if I said this already or not, but I'm going to say it again. All right, I'm going to zoom in a bit so I don't have to go over there. And what they consist of, the black ring against the back is a bulkhead. And you drill a hole through the tub at the appropriate size of whatever bulkhead you choose. There's a locking ring on the back that slides through, and the locking ring holds it in place. Do you need silicone or tape? No, because it's not a big deal. And then the white fitting there is actually a hose adapter in this case. And it's got 3/4 inch male threads on the back end that go into the bulkhead, because the bulkhead has 3/4 inch female threads, pipe threads. Okay, they're both pipe threads. And then on the front end of that hose adapter are hose threads, just regular garden hose threads. And then the screen is a Graco airless paint sprayer pickup tube screen. It has garden hose threads on it, male garden hose threads. So it threads right in. Now they're about $13 a piece at Home Depot. And same guy, Scotty, told me you can find them a whole lot cheaper on Amazon, different. And I just haven't looked into it yet because I've got what I need. So yeah, I haven't bought anything else. So I'm using these. I'm not going to replace them. Just So anyway, and you can see how the one in the middle, kind of white, because stuff picks up on them. So what I'll do is kind of clean them off once in a while like that. And you can always take them off. They'll screw right off. And blast them out with a garden hose. All right, and I don't know if you can hear that. That's water running. Let me step around the backside here without killing myself. There we go. I can unzoom now, I suppose. Yep, there it is, running out of the two lower ones and starting on the third. Now, I've got those, obviously. Let's get this back to where I can see what's going on. I've got those, obviously, to keep fish or shrimp from swimming out. Don't want that to happen. Now, obviously, these will work for if we get rain too, and we did. But for whatever reason, and we got a lot, but it just didn't fill up, and maybe it got close, and so the overflows would take care of it. Now, I've seen where people just drill little like 1/4-inch holes around what they think should be their water line, and those just to me seem like they could plug really easily. And if they do, and the water overflows, well, you're going to lose stuff. So I like this idea way better than just drilling some little tiny holes. Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but you know what? Who the hell cares? I want to save my livestock in here, my little fishies. Now, I think I mentioned before, maybe not. Maybe that's part of what died. There's a little fry right there. Let me zoom back in. There he goes. So they're in here. After a water change, there's one I did last summer, and I let it run for, I don't remember, an hour and a half, kind of got sidetracked. The whole rim of the tub here was covered with shrimp. So there's a lot of shrimp in here. I've been dumping shrimp in here. I may have already said that, but let me reiterate because I don't remember what I said. I was going to try and voice over this part, and I thought, no, that's stupid. Let's just reshoot it because I don't know what the hell I'm doing in a voiceover. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I've got 5 different kinds of shrimp that I can think of. I've got red cherries, yellow golden back, orange sun-kissed, Blue Dream, and Green Jade. Okay, I don't know who makes the names up, but those are what I bought them as. I intentionally put, I think, some of the yellow golden back in here, and I just saw one when I was moving the plants to show you guys that tub. And I know there's red cherries in here because they'll come up anyway. And I don't remember if I put Blue Dream in here or not, but I did put a bunch of Green Jade in here too. In fact, I just put some in here the other day. I dropped a short about what to do with all the shrimp. When I clean out the little hang-on filter in my tank that has the Green Jade, it's also got Paleotis cories and Royal Whiptail catfish. Little Green Jades will get in the hang-on back filter, and I'll try and catch out what I can, put them right back in the tank. But sometimes there's just too many, too little. So, and I've got them all in a 2-gallon bucket, so I just floated the bucket here for about 20 minutes or so, and then dumped them in here. So there's probably some of those in here too. And at some point, I don't know when, I'm going to probably have to take this tub apart and see what's in there. Maybe. See if I can find the 2 plecosauruses. Hopefully they're still alive. Hopefully we'll see a few million shrimpies. I just moved and startled one little shrimpy that was on the rim right there. Water bubbling and moving, and it could be because there's fish under it or just, I don't know, water just percolating up or however that goes. So anyway, and then there's a lot of ram's horn snails in here too. So I'll let this run for a while. And then what I'll do after it's done running is, and after it's done draining, you see it's up over the overflows right now. Let me zoom in, make sure we see that. There we go. So it's running full tilt right now out the back. That just goes into the landscape. It waters this vine back here and this heavenly bamboo right there. So no waste. But when it's all said and done, I use Seachem Safe, and I'll grab a little measuring cup, fill it with water, put a bunch of Seachem Safe on it, and pour it around. Only after that's done draining below level, so I'm not wasting any of the Seachem in there. And that should do it. So I think that gets us caught up to where I picked up on the rest of the video that I shot after I realized my microphone had died. So now you can see the water is up to, there we go, up to the overflows. And it's running out the back. And it's coming more out of the one on the far left because when I drilled those, I missed on that one and it ended up just a little bit lower, which is okay. It kind of serves a purpose, you know, it's kind of serendipity, kind of a happy accident that it drains first if we get enough rain. We've had a lot of rain, but none of it, not enough of it to top this off to overflow. So I haven't had to really use those. So I'm gonna let this run for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. Let it do a pretty good turnover. You start to see the fish coming out. Let's go back to zoom in a little bit. That way I don't have to spook them quite as much. That's kind of cool. They're round. And maybe by the time it's all over, oh, there's some shrimp. There's a load of shrimp. The water changes kind of brings them out. Now, when it's all said and done, I will treat for chlorine and chloramines. I use Seachem Safe, and I use a little tiny scoop that comes from, what's it called? Ultralife, the blue-green algae slime remover stuff. There's these handy little scoops that they give you. And so I'll use a couple of those and I'll put them in a measuring cup of water. That is a green jade right there. And there's some really nice dark red ones. So I'll put a couple scoops of that in some water, dissolve it there, then pour the liquid in. And then stick my arm in and slosh it around to try and get it, you know, somewhat dissipated into the whole water column. But so far, no problems that way. And I do have to take this thing apart. There's a couple little fry in there. I want to be careful with them. But there's a wad of this nasty green algae in there. And I'd like to try and save, this is the only piece of Brazilian pennywort I have left. And it's completely inundated with this crap. So yeah, I will do this with a couple hands so I don't tear it apart. Maybe it'll take off. I know in some people's tanks, the stuff's a weed. I had it in an aquarium in the house or in the garage in my 75-gallon. And it just slowly faded out. Maybe I'll put it in a tank with more light. Maybe that'll help. But I don't know, maybe if it survives the winter here, maybe it'll finally start taking off. Because I do like it. It's a cool plant. Kind of vining. And I just have a problem with stem plants no matter what. And that's a stem plant. So there it is. Little pieces of hornwort. Got mostly the hornwort on one side, the guppy grass on the other, but I don't know, it doesn't really matter. So that's kind of it. That's that. So you can see how water's up to these now and free flowing out. I had a lot of dead leaves from this water lettuce that would float. You can see some right there. And they stick to that and dry. So periodically you've got to, you know, sort of brush them off. Or you can just always take these things off. They screw right out. What is that? Oh, that's, yeah. They screw right out. And you can always wash them out from the other direction, just blow them out backwards. That works really well too. I think also because of the odd leaves that fall into there, and as they break down, there's microbes that are present, probably present everywhere in this tub, an airplane going by, to help feed the fry. So I feed these guys occasionally. I'll throw some, you know, some dustings of my granular fish food. And I blend, I don't know, 4 or 5 different foods together in a little coffee grinder, mix that all up. And so I'll dust some of that across this. But I think there's plenty for them to eat on a regular basis. It must be true because I said it before, I'll say it again. I got way more than I started with. And there's that platinum one again. Kind of cool. So maybe I'll get some more platinums that show up. I don't know. There'll be some sort of a hybrid or not. All right, well, there we are. Shut the hose off. And it's quit draining, so I wait until it's done draining to dechlorinate. Why waste? And then, like I said, I use the Seachem Safe. Let me open that. Those are my brine shrimp buckets and my green water buckets. You've probably seen those in other videos. And I always put water in first. Here's that little scoop that comes out of the Ultralife, I think that's what it's called, blue-green slime remover. So I'll put a couple of these in. And I put the water in first because I think it dissolves better that way. And then this goes back in. And the lid gets closed. Don't want to spill it. It's not terribly expensive, and it does go a long way. And there's some little lumps in there. So because there are, and I don't have anything better to stir with, I'm going to take a little twig here, stir them up, break those up so no fish get, there's still a little lump in there. I'm not too worried about that though. And then I'll just pour it around. And maybe a little splash into where the fry are. And then I said I stir it up, hopefully to get that stuff moving around. And that's how I do a water change on this sucker. Oh, and that log on top there, I don't know why it's sitting there. I put it there. I found it along the side of the road on a little side street out in the desert here. I was looking at it for months, and I finally went and got it. I didn't realize it was quite this big. So I was going to stick it in the tub, you know, one end and let it sort of stick out. And I might still, I don't know. I'll have to move those plant tubs I showed you first. So I got a piece at the bottom, and that'll give the plecos, those two plecos, some more wood to munch on. But in the meantime, it just sort of sits there, and it's all right. You know, I think the birds perch on it once in a while. Speaking of birds, I need to fill the feeder. So anyway, so now I'm just kind of parked in a chair right outside my office door, and I can just sort of sit and enjoy this thing with a cup of coffee in the mornings. And when the sun is hitting it, usually more summertime, that little fountainy thing, it flows. And you know, I've had people offer to hook me up with oh gosh, I don't know, like filtration things. This is unfiltered completely. And I don't know if I said filter on that, little fountain thing. So this is completely unfiltered, and it really doesn't need to be. Other than the sound of water moving might be cool, but I get a little bit of that when that little fountain's flowing. I don't know. A buddy of mine, Chris Stubbs, he's reached out a couple times trying to hook me up with Popa Soap, and Popa Soap's reached out to me, and I think I've just ignored him. And I don't want to be. I think what it comes down to me, and this is probably why I haven't gotten back to Nicole with Higer either. I've done a couple reviews. I just don't want to do that. That's just not something I want to do, is be doing a lot of reviews for products. It just doesn't sound like, I'm going to zoom in a little. It just doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun for me. And it wasn't, you know, the couple I did. I was, you know, it's just not my cup of tea. But for those of you guys that do it, you do it well. There's a couple of you that do it. I think Scotty does a lot of reviews for Higer, and Chris does a lot of reviews for Popa Soap and a light now, Glorium, if I'm not mistaken. I'll you know, if I think of it when I'm putting this all together, I'll link their channel so you can go find them. I do like the Higer stuff I have. There was only one that I thought was kind of a bust, and it was this round, flat, disc-like airstone. And within 2 months it was clogged, and I vinegar soaked it, and it clogged right back up. So anyway, so total sidebar on that crap. Maybe I'll cut this all out. I don't really know, because at least this, I'm just talking now, and the microphone is on the phone, not the Rode microphone that I killed. So I need to, they're charging right now. So anyway, we're done with this. Like I always say, members, I can't thank you enough for being here. Your support, your continued support. And Christine, you were my first member, and the whole idea of this is for you, this tub update. I know you really enjoy those, or at least you say you do, and I believe you. Why wouldn't I? And then the few other members that I have, thanks for being there. Subscribers, also thanks for being there. And everybody else, thanks for looking. And it's the 14th or the 15th right now. Doesn't matter. Happy New Year.